There's another tricky question to end this passage. Now, it's a no-line reference question, but because of the chronology rule, we know that we're probably reading somewhere near the end of this passage. So we've gotten, basically, the last question kind of had us reading in this big chunk. This is kind of where you want to look for this answer as well. Now, it's always better, too, if in addition to the chronology rule, we think about the ideas that we're looking for. And so this question has a bunch of them, right? Americans quickly turn against elected leaders they had recently idolized because. So I underlined basically everything, but there's like 5 ideas in this question that any one of which might tell us that we've hit the right lines. So let's think. Anything about something happening quickly, turning against something. We're talking about politicians, we're talking about Americans, we're talking about people that are being idolized. So there's time involved, there's all sorts of stuff that's good. So let's go to kind of where the last set of evidence questions kind of kicked off here. It's kind of here. We can see if there's anything that hits those ideas. I'll highlight when I get to some things. Yet the American citizen plumes himself upon this spirit even when he is sufficiently dispassionate to perceive the ruin it works and will adduce it, in spite of his own reason, as an instance of the great sagacity and acuteness of the people and their superior shrewdness and independence. You carry, says the stranger, this jealousy and distrust into every transaction of public life. By repelling worthy men from your legislative assemblies, it has bred up a class of candidates for the suffrage who in their very act disgrace your institutions and your people's choice. It has rendered you so fickle and so given to change that your inconstancy has passed into a proverb. For you no sooner set up an idol firmly than you are sure to pull it down and dash it into fragments. And this because directly you reward a benefactor or a public servant, you distrust him merely because he is rewarded, and immediately apply yourselves to find out, either that you have been too bountiful in your acknowledgments, or he remiss in his deserts. I'll keep reading. Any man who attains a high place, right, idol, there you go, among you from the president downwards may date his downfall from that moment. For any printed lie that any notorious villain pens, although it militate directly against the character and conduct of a life, appeals at once to your distrust and is believed. You will strain a gnat in the way of trustfulness and confidence, however fairly won and well deserved, but you will swallow a whole caravan of camels if they be laden with unworthy doubts and mean suspicions. Is this well, think you, or likely to elevate the character of the governors that be governed among you? Okay. Let's stop there. I think I've got it, right? So you can tell here there's a lot of things that I underline. And so idle, right? We literally talk about idolizing. There's an element of time, right? It has to be recent and a quick turn, right? And look, you no sooner set up the idol than you pull it down merely because you distrust him. So there's this element of time. We're talking about elected leaders. So this clearly is hitting a lot of those ideas. Now, the because is the piece that we actually need for the question. So what is the reason that they tear down or turn against this elected leader? Well, they say it here. Merely because he is rewarded, any man who attains a high place among you may date his downfall from that moment. So it's like, okay, you tear him down because he won. And I know that sounds kind of like nonsensical, but that's kind of what they're saying. So my dumb summary here, they turn against him because he won. Let's see. They're suspicious of anyone who is elected might not be worthy of the honor. Well, okay, anyone who's elected is not worthy, so you're suspicious because he was elected, because he won. So that seems kind of good. B, have learned from experience that elected representatives are likely to be corrupt. Now, be careful. This is not what they said. They said, or Dickens said, that they're tearing these people down. He never says they're tearing them down because they are corrupt. This is very similar to, I think, the previous set of questions where we need to be nervous about answer choices that are too strong, that get too specific. So do they ever say that elected leaders are likely to be anything? No. So likely to be corrupt. This is very, very strong. Let me mark that here. Strong words are going to help us too. Strong word in C. The people, the Americans, know that elected officials abandon their political platforms soon after being elected. Again, this is very specific. This might be true. If you follow politics in whatever country you're in, you probably know that politicians are kind of, a lot of times liars, but not all the time, and that's not what they're saying here. They're not saying that these people are liars. They're just saying that people distrust them. There's a difference. There's a difference between there being evidence that the politicians are liars and being evidence, but there being evidence that the people think that they're liars. Right? Difference. And the people don't know anything. They're just distrustful. Big leap there. Another strong word in that word no. D, the Americans distrust the political institutions that are for the foundation of the American government. Well, no, they're not. There's no problem with the institutions. The problem is with the people, the candidates, the politicians. That's always what we're talking about. This, to me, is the most obviously wrong. A, then, is right. They're suspicious of anyone who is elected might not be worthy of the honor. Why might not they? Why may they? I'm trying to talk in this old-timey language. Why aren't they worthy? Okay, well, the passage doesn't specify. It doesn't specify that they are likely to be corrupt. It doesn't specify that they are likely or are soon to abandon their political platforms. The passage does not get into the details. Choices B and C are too detailed, too strong, too specific. A is vague. We like vague. We like weak. The people are just suspicious of politicians. That's the whole point of this. And so it doesn't specify, and that's why it passes the test. We're able to prove a weaker claim much more easily than a more specific, stronger claim. So if you have a couple of choices that you're considering, try to think which one's less specific, more weak. Like, it's hard to quantify those things. It takes practice, but try to think about it and try to see and make guesses based on that. And then when you go back and review your answers, see if your guess lined up, see if you were right. I have a feeling you're going to get more right just by kind of trusting the process here a little bit, trusting the system of the SAT. It really does work. That's how I decide between choices when I'm stuck. I'm like, well, this one seems like it says less, so it's probably better, so I'm going to pick it. I think that would have gotten you these points right here.